You just be like, hey man, fucking,
Okay,
bitch, got a little bit of choke still on my
It's rolling. I
throat.
was going. I realized he said
Rolling.
something.
Okay.
Crazy.
All right. We're good.
Let's see.
Okay.
I really don't know.
Well,
Good evening.
Hold on, let's find out. Let's know.
What?
That it's rolling.
It's rolling, bro.
What the fuck are we gonna
Make sure
Why did
that
you
my-
say you don't know this?
Make sure that my head's not blocking off.
I live here now.
Yeah, alright.
We're never leaving.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for showing up tonight. I'm here to give you a presentation upon communication skills training, what it is, what my journey has been with communication skills training, and why everyone can benefit from communication skills training. So to start off, I want to tell you that there are 5 guiding principles that my textbook says about communication skills training. And the first one is develop a range of skills. I believe it is best to have an arsenal, a large arsenal, rather than a small arsenal. Number 2 is adapt communication appropriately. The same situation is not going to call for the same method or style of communication as every other one does. Number 3 is monitor your communication. I want to be aware of what's coming out of my mouth, what's going on with my face, and what's going on with my body, because I'm communicating verbally and non-verbally, whether I like it or not. And the 4th one is commit to effective and ethical communication. I want to be effective. Why? Well, I just want to be able to explain myself in the best way possible. And I want to be ethical because once I say something, I can't unsay it. And once you hear something, you can't unhear it. So therefore, if I say something damaging or harmful, the damage is irreversible. And the last one is engage in dual perspective. I just want to put myself in someone else's shoes because the same communication method may not work with one person as it does the other. So it's best to keep in mind who I'm talking to. Now I'd like to move on to my personal journey, which involves the communication skill I chose to improve upon, which was listening, to your surprise. Anyways, I believe this is the place I had the most room for improvement. And so what I did was I identified 3 forms of non-listening that I engage in the most. First one is pseudo-listening, which is I basically look like I'm paying attention, but I'm not. My mind is elsewhere. The lights are on, but no one's home. The second one is selective listening, which is where I only listen to a portion of what you're saying instead of all of it. And the last one is monopolizing, which is simply you try to tell me something and I don't listen, and when you're done talking, I turn the conversation back around to me. I don't acknowledge your feelings or what you've had to say. Now, the 3 forms of active listening that are in our textbooks I chose to counteract the 3 forms of non-listening were paraphrasing, which is pretty simple. I just repeat back to you what you've said to me to validate that I have understood what you said and to let you know that I was listening. Second one is organizing information. Our retention capacity is limited. Therefore, I can't remember 100% of what you say, and rarely do I have the opportunity to go ahead and take notes during a personal conversation. And the last one is mindfulness. I have to be mindful no matter what form of communication I'm engaging in. If I want to stop pseudo-listening, I have to be mindful because I have to realize when I'm losing focus. I have to be mindful of when I'm only listening to a portion of what you're saying instead of all of it. And I also have to be mindful because I need to be able to pick out what is trivial and what is important, as in organize the information appropriately. So what I did was I implemented this into my everyday life, one aspect at a time, slowly and incrementally. First, it was work because I got a new job. Second was my social life. Third was school, which came naturally because I'm just there 4 hours a week listening to a lecture. And last was my family. Not because I don't like talking to them, but they live out of state, as most of you know, and I don't get a lot of FaceTime with them. So last, I want to tell you why everyone can benefit from communication skills training. And the reason why you can all benefit is because we are always communicating, all the time, no matter what. You cannot not communicate. It's impossible. You guys haven't said a single word the entire presentation, yet you've been communicating with me the entire time. In fact, nonverbal communication accounts for approximately 67 to 93% of our communication. So we communicate a majority of the time non-verbally. Also, if you want to have a relationship with any human being, you're going to have to communicate. Even silence is a form of communication. And unless you're going to move out to the woods in the middle of nowhere, you're going to have to talk to other people. And I don't believe there's a whole lot of people who are just going to move out into the middle of nowhere and never have human contact ever again. And lastly, it's not a perishable skill. Calculus is something I will never use again, most likely, outside of the class I'm taking now, unless I want to be an engineer or an economist. But I'm not. But communication is going to be something I will use for the rest of my life. Therefore, improving upon it can only benefit me further. And I believe I probably robbed myself some opportunities in the past based on the fact that I was an ineffective listener. So, and I believe everybody can benefit from this because everybody's going to have to talk to everybody. And let's face it, don't most conflicts arise because there's poor communication? And don't most conflicts not get resolved because communication is ineffective in the first place? So with this being said, and since the fact that we are social creatures and we always have to interact, I believe that everyone, no matter what, can benefit from improving upon their communication skills, whether they are verbal or nonverbal. So with that, I hope you guys learned something, you enjoyed your time here. If not, thank you for coming out.
Did we get it?
Thank you. I gotta